yes and no. Economics is a useful tool. Having a sense of how much it will cost to address climate change. For example, being able to discuss alternative policies. If we want to solve the problem of climate change, what might be the most efficient way to do that? What's the relative merits, say, of increasing the price of fossil fuels to reflect the harm they do versus regulation and just saying, no, you can't burn them, forget it. I mean, so economics has an important voice in the debate. I think where we tend to go off the rails is where we think economics has all the answers, that all we need to worry about is making the economy more efficient. All we need to worry about is aggregate welfare and using measures, for example, of human well-being that until quite recently were all about production and consumption and not about, say, lifespan or life satisfaction or rates of depression or inequality, rates of justice or equity. So economics has been incredibly, I think, illuminating in showing that one of the sources of growth in the US, for example, since the 50s and 40s and 50s, has been the inclusion of more and more people in the workplace. That as more and more women have come into the workplace, as more and more non-Anglos have come in, so this enormous influx of immigrants has really helped drive economic growth. I think that's really important because it means now when I talk about equity and the importance of increasing the diversity of the workforce, I say, well, the economic growth between the 40s and now came from bringing more people into the workforce. Let's bring these marginalized communities into the workforce and we can, improve economic growth. So it's very helpful to have that argument, but it shouldn't be the only argument because treating everybody justly, making sure everyone is included in this society is not just an economic necessity, it's fundamentally a moral and political necessity. And when we frame conversations only in terms of economics, we leach out so much of human meaning. And, I worked before I went to do a PhD in economics. I worked for one of the big consulting companies for a couple of years. And I remember my first couple of years in the economic PhD, and I was surrounded by all kinds of smart people. And they'd say things like firms are instantaneously rational, optimizing point sources. I've been working for a consulting company inside organizations. I knew that was completely crazy. And it took me a long time to work out that many economists were actually taking their models seriously. They actually thought that that was how the world worked. Instead of thinking of it as a model, it's a source of insight, very powerful, very useful, they thought that was the right answer. And to me, that has been the major problem in economics, is thinking that we have the answer and our models are reality.